Good morning, this is Jack from Charting Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Monday, the 28th of July. My disclaimer, it is for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right, I did a post this morning, so have a look at that today. But I was talking really in response to the EU-US trade deal yesterday, which settles the tariffs at about 15%, which is pretty similar with what they did with Japan, and a bit higher than the deal made with the UK. But actually, the Japan and the EU are the two large trading partners that we really need to make a deal with, and those deals have been made. This actually means that we might be heading towards a new normal on tariffs, and I was talking about that. This doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to see a big move up from here. I mean, there's a lot of economic issues here. Obviously, tariffs are putting up inflation. They're also, in effect, a $500 billion a year tax on the US consumer, which is a big tax increase. This is likely to reduce their spending ability in other areas, and of course, that's likely to have a negative. The top could be in, but I'll talk about that on the bigger picture charts. But anyway, in the short term, we've got ES, we had the sell signal fail, and we had the daily RSI 14 and RSI 5 sell signals fail on SPX. Well, actually, we do see that happen quite a lot before large tops, but at the moment, we're moving away from any kind of a visible topping setup here on ES and on NQ, where we had a nice looking double top setup potentially at the end of next week, and we're losing that too. We're likely also to have a significant impact on the dollar, which I'm going to come to. RTY, we've still got a very nice looking nested double top here. On IM, we've got a very nice looking double top here, nested as well. I'd still like to see this go a little higher and set up the new all-time high on Dow, of course. DAX and STX, I'm not seeing, well, we saw a bit of a bounce up. I'm expecting to see new all-time highs on the basis of this deal, this trade deal that was done at the weekend. We've not seen that yet, but I think there's pretty good odds of seeing that in the next couple of days. Same for STX. Obviously, we had a positive reaction to the deal, and it's been pulling back a bit. We will see how it develops from here. We shall see. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Now, looking at SPX first, we lost quite impressively. You don't lose a lot of sell signals with the first high basically in the 90 area, but we have managed to lose that here, and we lost obviously the RSI 14 sell signal as well. So I've marked those down both as failed, and if we start seeing that being followed by others, then that actually would be significantly bullish. On Qs, we're not close to failing it here. We still got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed. We still got a possible, well, we've got a new or possible weak RSI 14 sell signal brewing. Looking at Dow, we've got a possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing here. We haven't quite made it to the retest of the all-time high, but we're really, really close. And I'm thinking we might manage that in a couple of days. Looking at IWM. IWM, again, we've got a pretty nice looking double top here. This has been really, while SPX and NDX have been going up the last couple of weeks, IWM and Dow have been stalled here. So bigger picture, do we have an upside target if this breaks up? Yes. We're not seeing any kind of a break up yet, though, and of course we may not. And on the daily chart, we've got RSI 14 and RSI 5 sell signals fixed here as well, and neither of those is anywhere near to failing at the moment. We shall see how that goes. DAX, expecting to see another retest of this high, but that's setting up a very nice looking top there. Nikkei is getting pretty close to the retest of this high here at 42.4, and that could set up a huge double top there. So yes, we do have plenty of potential topping setups here. I'm principally concerned about the lack of a topping setup on either SPX and NDX, and the loss of the sell signals on SPX. If we see NDX lose those two, then that's not great. I am wondering whether we might see a push up here, and something I would like to see on cryptos that can run maybe into the December area and form a larger high there. We could see that. Equally, at the moment, we've still got decent looking topping setups, certainly on DAX, on Dia and IWM and DAX and Nikkei. We've got a lot of decent looking topping setups, and I'm not really expecting to see an awful lot higher, even if the market does continue higher. The targets that I posted at the beginning of June on SPX and NDX for if we went higher aren't actually a great deal higher than we are now. Really, it only involves going up another 100, 150 points on SPX, which is obviously not a huge difference in terms of the amount that we've already traveled this year. We shall see. Could the top be in here? I'd be expecting to see another couple of little highs here, but we could have, yeah, I mean, we could see a big retracement start at any time. And we're certainly looking very stretched to the upside here. In terms of overall economic news, do I think that America is entering a new golden economic age? No, I don't think there's any indication of that at all. In fact, actually, most of the changes so far this year will likely be negative for economic growth, but not necessarily hugely negative. But sooner or later, that's going to be showing up in the figures. In the interim, well, something I often talk about on equities is the amount of the degree to which prices are sustained by faith. Now, it sounds kind of an odd thing to say on prices, but the fact is, an awful lot of it is confidence. And confidence is in effect faith. As long as the market has confidence that things can go higher, to a certain extent, it can. Are we looking at an inflection point where confidence may be building because the trade situation seems to be settling down? Yes, we are. The trade situation does seem to be settling down. Now, there might be another crazy move that starts next week, but at the moment, it looks as though it's settling down, and we might be reaching a new normal, which could last for a while. That could give us months more. We shall see. All right, let's have a look at DX. DX, this head and shoulder, this double top here, which broke down, could be failing here. The principal reason I'm thinking it might not be failing is because we've got this really nice looking bearish triangle on CAD, and we've got a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing here. I'm thinking this might break down and deliver a retest of the low, and that would probably be in the context of DX going down as well. We will see, but in the meantime, at the moment, obviously the euro has broken up for a double bottom, DX has broken down for a double top. Neither of those is making any progress, and we're testing important support at the monthly pivot here on the euro. We will see. Now, one other observation I would make is obviously we've got an overall bullish leaning setup here, possibly into a retest of the 114, I think 87 high on DX. And one thing I have been reading, although I'm not quite sure about the theoretical basis for it, one thing I have been reading is that the tariffs this year may be positive for the dollar. That could potentially deliver us that bull move. I'm a little skeptical, but we will see how that goes. All right, on bonds. Bonds, we've got a head and shoulders here, which is broken down and hasn't yet failed, but it might. Waiting to see that. Of the head and shoulder patterns, because I had head and shoulders break down on ZB, ZN, and TLT. The ones on ZN, the one on ZN has failed. I think the inverse head and shoulders on TNX has failed too. Two of those have failed, and the other ones are still hanging tough at the moment. We will see how that goes. But this head and shoulders here definitely failed. Equally, this IHS, which broke up, that has also failed. Are we forming an overall triangle here? There may be a large pattern that we're not yet seeing. We'll see. All right, CL, we're seeing a bit of a bounce here. We've seen multiple tests of this rising support trend line, which is obviously important because it wouldn't have been tested so often otherwise. But at the moment, that is holding. Heating oil, we have broken up from this declining resistance trend line. Looks like a rally forming, but it kind of looks like a bear flag forming as well at the moment. RBOB, still in a consolidation, waiting to see whether we're going to make the double top target at 2.025. Still think there's a decent chance we're going to do that. NG, this looks like a bearish consolidation, possible triangle or bear flag forming. This should resolve into a retest of this low. Possibly we'd have an opportunity to see a larger rally starting from there. GC. GC has broken and back tested this megaphone support. This is leaning bearish short term. Waiting to see how that develops. We do have a 60-minute buy signal fix that hasn't delivered a great deal so far. SI, we've definitely got a nice looking double top here, and at the moment it has been rejecting from the second high. I'm wondering if this might play out. Palladium. Bigger picture, we've got sell signals and reasons to think that both palladium and platinum may well go down here. And HG, obviously, we've got a potential level top here too. And we've got a 60-minute sell signal fixed, although that has reached already the possible near miss target. We've also got a double top that's broken down with a target in about the 5.65 area. But at the moment, it's not getting through the weekly pivot at 5.77. All right, looking at the euro, this double bottom may be failing. GBP USD, wondering about a retest of this low, but we do have a 60-minute buy signal fixed here. USD JPY, wondering about a retest of this high. USD CAD, already I've talked about the triangle. Australian dollar and NZ just following VX inverted at the moment. KC, I'm wondering about a larger bear flag forming here with a possible move towards the monthly pivot at 321.90. We do have a weak 60-minute sell signal fixed here. That hasn't got us back below the weekly pivot at the moment. On SB, still wondering about a possible IHS here. CC, looking for a bottoming pattern here for a potential larger rally. So waiting to see how that develops. CT, we've got a very nice looking bearish triangle here too, and this again looks ready to break down at any time. It hasn't broken down yet, but if it does, I'd be wondering about a retest this low here in the 66.25 area. Lumber, double top breakdown has formed a potential larger double top, which I'm thinking might deliver. On wheat, heading down a bit, corn the same, soy the same. I'm leaning short on all of these into some bigger low retests. Corn is thinking about this head and shoulders, hasn't failed yet, and I quite like to see it head back. In effect, the target would be a retest of this low here at 407.5. Soybean oil, next obvious target would be this trend line here, currently at about the 54 area. Live cattle, possible topping action, but nothing strongly suggesting that. Lean hogs, we've reached the megaphone resistance trend line here. It's held so far. I'd quite like to see it break up, but it hasn't broken up as yet. All right, let's have a look at questions. Right, could the top be in on S&P? Yeah, one thing I did mention in the I didn't mention in the post today, but I'm mentioning now, but I mentioned before, is sometimes you feel you see a fail of the sell signals, and that marks the top. So we could be looking at that here. We will see how that goes, or at least a short-term top into retracement. Waiting to see whether it continues up from here. What I would say, though, is the kind of grinding up that we've been seeing, a very, very slow grind. This is something that we've quite often seen in like in July or August. Sometimes getting into a very, very, very slow grind. Obviously, it's July this month, and it's August next month. We could see this continue for a while longer and get even slower as we get into a very slow summer market. But really, we should be seeing some kind of retracement here, and we should have seen it already. As we come into the end of this particular news cycle on trade and so on, maybe we will see that. But yeah, we'll see. But I think we quite often see sell signals fail and then a retracement start very shortly afterwards? Yes, that's something we often see. We'll see whether we get that this time. All right, great. In that case, I think it's a wrap. I will catch everyone tomorrow morning, and everyone take care.